Welcome to Leverage Your Influence podcast. We talk to entrepreneurs and creatives who have leveraged their influence, impact, and income through podcasting. Today's guest has gone on a journey from newspapers to newsrooms to digital marketing and now podcasting. And we're excited to have today the marketing guru himself, Mr. Seth Goldstein. How are you doing, Seth?
How's it going, buddy? And you got the name right the first time too.
Hey, listen, we only
It's
have
always
one.
Goldstein. I've never met a Goldstein ever in my life. But
It's Goldstein. Get it right, all right?
yeah, man. Yeah. So how you doing, GP?
Doing wonderful, doing wonderful. It's a beautiful day in Virginia. Tell the folks where you are in the world.
Yeah, I'm just north of Philadelphia. So it's a little cooler up here than Virginia, but not too much. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
60s. Not
yeah.
bad. I'll take it.
And you guys are the home of the Philadelphia Eagles. And
Yes,
uh,
we clobbered the Kansas City Chiefs. It wasn't even a game. It was not even a game.
yeah.
It was a shutout halfway through the game, and I was just like, what?
So let's get
It
into
was
your story,
payback.
Seth.
Yeah.
So from newspapers to newsrooms to digital marketing, give us just a summary of your journey in
Yeah.
telling stories.
Oh, it's all about telling stories. So I started, went to the University of Delaware, wanted to go into marketing, advertising, and digital marketing, but back in 2000, that didn't exist. I wanted to do advertising. I wanted to kind of be one of the madmen, which that should didn't even exist then either. But looking back, it was like I wanted to be kind of an ad guy. Went in, realized that I don't want to do all the business courses. I wanted to do history, and so I did history and journalism, minors in anthropology and political science. I mean, that's way back, but like I got a lot of basis for my journalism career that way. You'd be surprised how much anthropology plays in culture plays into being a good journalist. So
Yeah.
that kind of worked out nicely for me. So I went into journalism for the idea that I wanted to show people that I knew how to write. So not necessarily planning on going to journalism, but then I talked to now former President Biden on the phone, who was the senator of Delaware at the time, former University of Delaware alumni. And the fact that he wanted to talk to me got me hooked. I mean, he's a sen at the time he was the senator. I mean, he wanted to talk to little old me. That's kind of cool. Say what you will about him, I think he's a good guy. He's definitely a good guy. He says man a lot. What's up, man? All that stuff. Yeah. But so got hooked, left Delaware after 4 years, got out in 4 years, which most get out in five, but somehow I managed to get out in four. Got jobs in the newsroom as a newspaper journalist. Remember those? The broadsheets, the daily broadsheets. And so I worked for some newspapers out in South Central Pennsylvania and then Southeastern Pennsylvania. So kind of like along the Philadelphia out to about like the Maryland Gettysburg border, syndicated out to in Jersey a little bit because the papers they all take each other's content at that time. And so I loved it. And I loved it to the point where I burnt myself out
Wow.
massively. Massively burnt myself out. 6 years in the business, decided like this isn't for me. I need to do something different. On the side, I had been doing websites and helping people out with their marketing. At that point, it was 2008, the best time to start a business.
Yeah.
No, I'm being completely facetious.
Yeah.
Um, but the idea was is that no, I wanted to build a business to get the job. Well, 17 years later, I'm still doing the business because it just kind of worked out that way. The flexibility of entrepreneurship, being able to go get the kid if he's sick at school, all that stuff. It worked well. I mean, yeah, there's ups and downs. I mean, money's, I mean, you want to talk about commission here, my friends. Entrepreneurship is the biggest piece of commission because you eat what you kill, or
Yeah.
you kill what you eat,
Yeah.
whatever, which way that goes. I always get confused with that saying, but like literally, if you don't do work, you're not getting paid, and you're not eating. So it's like, but then it's the whole idea of balance and figuring out how do you balance work and life, the work-life balance and all that stuff. And that took a while. Took having a kid to realize, all right, I need to now make some time for the family, but also it's nice to have an excuse like I have work to do. I gotta go down and do some work to escape the kid as well, who's 12 now. And he's a 12-year-old terror. So, and in the best way possible. So,
Wow. So you made the pivot from the corporate America and the media space to being an
yes.
entrepreneur.
Hmm.
And interestingly, your podcast now, Entrepreneur's Enigma, is
Yes.
literally highlighting the stories and experiences of entrepreneurs. Why did you choose to
Yes.
podcast about entrepreneurship?
Well, that's kind of funny because because we'll get into podcast mastery and all that, my coaching program. But I've been podcasting since 2010. And by doing that, I had made all the mistakes, made goofs, figured stuff out and all that. And I had realized that, at the start of the pandemic, 2021, I wanted to talk about my entrepreneurial journey, my enigma. Then I realized around 11 episodes in, no one gave a crap about my particular story, more than one time off. Like me talking to you, your audience wants to hear it, great, but not ongoing. Like how much pontification can I do? So then I pivoted back to my journalism roots and decided, well, other people have interesting stories, and they do. And we're now on episode 275 of the
Wow.
first season, which is, and then right there is another point. It's like you keep making mistakes, you keep learning from them and all that. Literally, this should have been seasons after seasons after seasons, not one giant season. Look, you live and you learn. No one's perfect. So, but
That's
yeah, it's
amazing.
been fun. I have a guy Kawasaki on the show. I ran Fishkin. I've had some pretty high level entrepreneurs in the show. It's been
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. And you also have over 1,000 listeners every month,
It's insane.
which
And I
is,
have over 1,000 pitches every month, every day to get on the show. And I'm like, guys, not how you get on my show.
yeah. Yeah.
I find you. You don't find me.
Yeah. Yeah. Phenomenal. 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 So, what is something about podcasting that you have noticed that has evolved that you love? And what is something that you notice about podcasting that you now hate? Because you've been
Oh
doing it for a
God.
long time.
I've been doing it for a long time. I like that people are now listening to podcasts. It's not like podcast. What's that? Like
Yeah.
it's a thing now. I mean, you do podcast coaching as well. You get this that there's a market here for people like us who have been doing it for a while, who have, really cut our teeth in the industry. And I like that people are like, wow, I want to do that too. How do I do that and stuff? So I don't know what's going on with my lights right now. Hopefully the lights have been blinking. I'm like, anyhow, and then what I don't like about it is that everyone thinks they can do it.
Haha.
Everyone thinks they can do it, and everyone can do it if they commit to it. But it's not a matter of, grabbing a pile of poop and throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks. It's literally having to figure out the structure, the cadence, the format of your show, and then sticking to it
Yeah.
and having a plan. And then on the flip side is also how to be a good guest. If you're going to pitch yourself, how do you pitch yourself correctly and not be a schmuck about it?
Yeah.
I guess I can say schmuck on
Yeah.
yeah, it's not that
Yeah.
bad word. Yeah, I can say schmuck. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of folks,
Don't be a jerk about it. So yeah.
yeah. A lot of folks, they want the platform, they want the microphone, they want the exposure, but they don't want to
Yeah.
do the work, right? They don't
I
want
know.
to work strategically to build out something for the long haul, but they want just to be popular, right? And
Yeah.
being a podcaster will not make you an expert on whatever topic you're talking about, right?
No.
So you want to make sure that you are podcasting about something that you're truly passionate about, you have
Absolutely.
experience in, or maybe even an interest in, where you can podcast as a student and not a sage.
Yes. Oh, I love that. That is the quote of the day. I like
Yeah,
that.
because I truly believe, Seth, that podcasting is one of the best personal development hacks for anybody.
Yeah, and you get better as you go. It's all about reps.
Yeah,
Your first episode is gonna suck.
right.
Bluntly, it's gonna suck. Still put it out there. Move on to episode 2. Move on to episode 3. Keep going, and you're gonna get better at podcasting. Every time I launch a new podcast, the first episode always is rough. Even for me, who's been doing it for 15 years, the first episode is always rough because it's a new format and new feel, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
kind of knowing what you're doing. So
So, if you don't mind, could you just walk us through your creative process? How you decide what makes it into an episode? Who do you invite? Like, how do you build a workflow around your growing platform?
the funny thing is the workflow is still very much manual because it's hard to kind of get it out of your brain. Every Tuesday, I have the things planned out. So all right, let's start at the beginning. We have the interview. I talk to people. We have a good time. I find people on Podmatch, like where we met. I have some time, every once in a while, someone who will pitch me will get on the show because I'm like, that sounds like a fun time. Um, and then so we'll record on Squadcast. And what I'll do is after that, I will throw it in the script. It's getting a little in the weeds, but whatever. And edit it up a little bit. I don't edit that much because after all, we're not effing NPR. We're not public radio here, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, some people like Gaston here, he live streams it, then he cuts it up and puts it into
Buzzsprout. Yep.
Buzzsprout, and that's all he does. Because
It's
people
raw.
like the genuineness of it,
Yeah.
and like yeah, I mean yeah, there's a huge gaff like the electricity goes out here. You maybe put the two pieces together, or maybe you don't. I mean, say that was fun, whatever. And you just have a good time with it.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, I clean it up a little bit. I put studio sound on, so if the person doesn't have as good sound, the AI kind of makes them sound like they're on a microphone more and that
Right.
kind of stuff. And then I put it up on Megaphone because that's where I'm on a podcast network, marketing podcast network with a bunch of other marketing podcasts. And so put it up there. I put it through Cast Magic to get some clips. I put it through Opus Clip to get some clips. And then literally I put the video on YouTube and I put the video through Spotify because it says it's gonna take the video. I'm like, take it, go for it.
Yeah.
And literally come Tuesday, I sit down and just put a few pieces together and announce it. And then that's my workflow. Yeah, could it be automated? Yeah, it could be automated a lot easier than that. But literally, it probably takes me an hour per episode to get
Wow.
things put together
Wow. Wow.
because I'm practiced at it. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, folks, it's possible for you to have a thriving podcast where you're producing content weekly without you committing several hours a week. You can do it in an
Yeah, you have
hour.
to do that.
All right. I promise you it's
Yeah.
possible. It's possible.
Even with some editing, let's say there is a gaff in there and you want to get rid of it. All right, so you spend an hour and a half. In the half an hour you're spending kind of finding the few places that you tripped. Or you don't.
Yeah. Have you ever had an episode that you recorded that you just scrapped completely and you said, you know what? I'm not going to use it, or that's going to be bonus content? Do you always use everything you create, or do you hold some things in a vault?
I'm usually pretty good at getting everything out because usually I'm good at I have a preliminary call with people, so I kind of have a sense of like where people are going, if it's going to be a good fit, and I screen people before they get on the show. Now the screening calls literally 2-3 minutes. It's like, all right, this is the gist, this is that, and we go with it. And if they're a good fit, great. If it like their connection's wonky and they're just not the right fit, I'll say, look, maybe this isn't the right fit right now. Here's some tips and so on. But
Yeah. Yeah.
generally most people get on my show.
Awesome. Now, as a former writer, uh, what are your thoughts on captions, headlines, titling our shows the right thing to increase the search engine optimization of our shows? Should we really care about the writing aspect, the show notes,
Oh
things
yeah.
like that for our podcast?
Show notes, I mean, depends on that. You don't have to go like in the weeds. I mean, you can use AI for a lot of this stuff, like Cast Magic gives you the transcript. If you want to get it in and put the transcript into YouTube and into LinkedIn for the clips and all that stuff, you can do that. Or you can keep the transcripts to the side and just get the clips, like the text clips and stuff. And like AI can help you write the show notes pretty quickly. It's not something that you have to necessarily write, but it also AI listens to the show and oftentimes gives me a better title than what I came up with.
Mm,
So castmagic.io comes up with some great titles from there. I put it in the video in there and it pulls out some good titles. I'm like, wow, that's a good one. I'll take that one. Thank you. Okay.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
I would say writing is important, but it can be augmented by AI a little bit. I don't
okay.
think the audio video can be AI quite yet.
Hmm.
Or it can, but it's not as genuine and no one wants to listen to it.
Right, right, right. So you are a podcaster. Also, you build websites as well.
I do. Yeah.
So
Been
how
doing that for
important
17 years.
are websites when it comes to branding our shows and spreading our movement and having a place online that's yours and not on
Yes.
borrowed land?
Exactly. I think websites are very important. I think they're even if they're simple. I mean, you can go to Pod Page And that's not like you can go to someone like me and spend $1,000 or so dollars to get a really custom website for your podcast. Or you can go to a pod page and it automatically does it for you, but it's not unrented land. You're paying for it monthly and you have your site. It's sucking your podcasts in and putting them up all nice and stuff. There's ways to do it on the cheap, there's ways to do it on the more expensive, depends on your budget. But you need to not just you need to have a landing spot for your show. Even if it's a one pager for crying out loud. You need a landing page with a domain name that you own that is like, coachgp.com, GP's podcast, whatever, whatever the show name you wanted. I'm just picking on you right here, but you can do the GP podcast, that kind of thing, and then have that and have your show there. Or you can go very advanced and have testimonial page, have a review page, have this page, have that page. So you can go in the weeds or you don't have to. And that's kind of the key.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what is your perspective on monetization and
Oh.
whether, going down that track is worth it? Should you do it for the income or should you do it for the outcome when it comes to podcasting?
Podcasting is not you're not gonna be Joe Rogan. You're not gonna be Mel Robbins. You're not gonna come into this with a pre-existing audience that's gonna be big enough to make you a whole boatload of money. It's a branding exercise. It's a way for, I'm sure, for Gaston over here to get business. People know his name and they're now we're now connected and now know about all that stuff. And now we're gonna become buddies and all that stuff. And then it's like you're branding yourself through your podcast as much as you're branding the people who are on your show. Yeah, like I'm on a podcast network. I'll make a few $100 a month on that. That is not enough to even afford the groceries. It's a nice little extra thing that I can, maybe I can repair my mic or get a new mic every once in a while. But that's about it. You're not doing it for the monetization per se. You're doing it for the end result of like, what's your goal for the show? And then if your goal for the show is to get more business, well, then do that not through monetization, but through what your business is.
Yeah, through your
Go that
offers.
route.
Yeah,
Through your offers,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. Now, let's talk about one of your offers, podcast
Yes.
mastery. Uh,
Yeah.
you help people to master the art and science of podcasting through what ways?
So both sides. So if you want to be a guest, we'll start with the guest side because a lot of people don't think about that. How not to be a jerk when you're asking to be on someone's podcast. I mean, literally, it's how not to harass the podcast or how not to annoy them. Like, send the request down. Make sure that it's interesting. It's to the point. Don't write a freaking book, please, because I'm not going to read it. It's going to get archived pretty quick. Also, I mean, a lot of people are like they use podcast pitchers out there that pitch them for you. That's a crappy way out, in my
Mm,
opinion. I I have a 90-10 rule. And then 90% of people who use pitchers, like PR firms to do it, are 90% are going to get rejected. Every once in a while, one will sneak through and be interesting. And I'll like, all right, sure, I'll have you on. That flips on the flip side, where it's 90% all you can possibly get through if you pitch yourself versus being with a PR firm.
wow.
And then 10%, maybe we're not the right fit because you're just not the right fit. And then that could be more like 99-1 even. And I just think 90-10 sounds a little more realistic.
Right,
But the
right,
whole
right.
idea is that, and then on the flip side, I help podcasters with their whole planning of the process. I've done different formats, co-host, not co-host. If you want to have a weekly show, if you want a monthly show, do you want a bi-weekly show? Do you want to have guests? All this the different things you have to think about. I'll work with you to do that. And also, we also have a premium community where a bunch of podcasters and guests want to connect within there, and that's a premium community. No barrier to entry, low price to get in, but the idea is to make it a mastermind group where people can all kind of bounce ideas off each other as well, being facilitated by me.
Yeah,
It's a hard word. Facilitated.
yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, it sounds like you help podcasters from A to Z.
Yes.
Now, at the beginning of your pod journey, what's one mistake you made that
One.
you would encourage others to avoid?
A one. Trust me, dude. There's more than one. But one is not getting started right away.
Ooh,
And then people don't think about that, but it's like get that first episode out. Like if it's rough, it's rough. You're not going to get started on podcasting if you don't release a show. get the first episode out, welcome people, even do a trailer, then get your first podcast out.
Yeah.
That's 2 episodes right there. And then you'll get better as you do the reps. And you'll get better. And you'll look back at the first episode, leave it up there. And people might find and say, "Well, man, that was rough." But look how great he's gotten since then. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. And it feels good to go back to your first episode and be like, whoa, oh God, that was screwed. That was brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. Malcolm Gladwell calls it the 10,000 hours, right? When you do something
Yeah.
long enough and you become an expert in it. And
Yes.
a lot of folks, I mean, a lot of folks don't make it to episode 10, right?
They don't.
And
Some don't make it past 3. And my suggestion is record 4 before you even launch. That way you're got the reps in. Launch those 4, even if the first one's crap.
yeah.
Launch those 4, but not all at the same time. Like space them out so that you have a backlog. So if you're sick one week
Yeah.
and you're doing a weekly show, you have a show.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I have found that I work best with recording one day. I normally record on Monday. Sometimes I do Tuesdays, but I can knock out 4 or 5 interviews every Monday.
and that's your podcast day.
And I have a bank, probably 5 or 6 that are, if something happens one week, I have something to post for that week. And
That's
I can be
exactly what I do.
consistent, you know? And I truly
Yeah.
enjoy connecting with others. So I'm enjoying it also. So it's not just
Yeah.
work for me. I truly
No,
enjoy doing
it
this.
should be fun.
Yeah.
It needs to be fun. If it's not fun, then go on the radio. Don't do podcasting. Podcasting is not, you're not doing it for the money, you're doing it for fun, you're doing it for the reward is the whole idea of having a piece of content that you can share out and brand yourself with.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a quote that said, Seth, that podcasting is to radio as Netflix was to Blockbuster. Like podcasting is disrupting the whole media industry. Like it's
Well,
changing the way.
radio shows are turning the podcast first.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what is your perspective on the future of podcasting and what it could do? What it could look like in the future? Do you see podcasting as a viable career path for students coming out of high school who don't want to go to college? Do you
I think it's
see?
an ancillary. I
Okay,
think it's an ancillary thing. I don't think it's a career path for anybody. I think few and far between people make it being the full-time podcaster,
okay,
the full-time streamer, the full-time any of those, things. My kid has like a few thousand followers on YouTube. He's like, I want to be a YouTuber. I'm like, all right, if you make it, go for it. But I have a backup plan,
yeah,
please. He's 12, so like let him dream a little bit more. Let's not bash his dreams quite yet. But the whole idea is I think it's a good way to brand yourself, get a job in a industry in marketing where where a person or a company wants that for their company. It
hmm
makes you more marketable, I
right,
think, more than it being the end. I don't think podcast. I think podcasting's a tool.
yeah.
It's not the whole apparatus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There are a few of us who may land a huge podcast deal, but the
Yeah.
majority of us, the
Like I said, I'm on
podcast,
a network. I'm on
yeah,
a network. I make $300 maybe every 3 months. I make $100 a month, and that's fine. I'm fine with that because that's a little extra money. I'm happy to be on a network with other like-minded people, cross promotion, all that good stuff.
right,
But I can't buy groceries with that. And we get some big name sponsors on the show, like LinkedIn sponsors our network.
right.
There's LinkedIn ads on our shows.
Wow.
Still,
Yeah,
I'm barely buying groceries with that money.
right, right,
I'm
right.
doing it more for the fact that I like the camaraderie. I like the group. I like it. We all cross promote. It works out nicely. So
Yeah, yeah. So monetization for your podcast will not guarantee uh, all the things that Joe Rogan gets, right?
no, Joe Rogan. Look at what Joe Rogan came from. Regardless of what we think of the guy, I don't think that highly of him, but that's besides the point. But he started out, wasn't he Fear Factor? Or was something before? I think he was an actor.
hmm
Fear Factor, then UFC. And then opened up his, 3.5, 4 hour, 5 hour long podcast.
hmm
Like in the morning, who the heck has time to listen to that thing straight through? That's worse than the Sunday Times.
Right.
A call back to the journalism world. Sunday Times, you buy the Sunday Times, you're good for the week. Like with Joe Rogan does the show, you're good for like a month getting
Yeah.
through that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing is, he came with a built-in audience. Mel
hmm
Robbins, who's constantly, it's them one and two in the rankings. And she came in as, I think she's a counselor or something like that. She came in with a big following. She had a show on network TV. Now she's a podcast. I mean, it's like you said at the very beginning, I have 1,000 people probably listening to my show a month.
Wow.
A month. Now, I'm happy with that because people want to be on my show. I have content to share out on LinkedIn. That's a great thing for me. I don't need it to be this big next Joe Rogan or Mel Robbins or, what's that one? Call Me Daddy? That one? Any of those. I mean, like seriously, they all had built-in audiences already.
Yeah, yeah. So, what is one myth about digital marketing that you'd like to dispel?
It's not something you stop doing when the economy sucks. It's something you spend more money on when the economy sucks
Ooh,
because you don't stop selling because the economy sucks. You start selling more. But how are you going to get those leads in if you don't have marketing out there as well? And then it kills me. I'm like, everyone's like, I can't pay for the website right now. I'm putting my money towards sales. I'm like, that's fine, but you need to keep the website up
yeah,
because you can't sell without a website. You
right,
just can't.
right.
Oh, it drives me up a wall.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Seth, where can people find you and connect with you online and check out your work and how to join your community or podcast mastery program? How can we connect with you outside of this moment?
You can find me pretty much everywhere, Seth Goldstein. But easiest way is social.sethgoldstein.me. Literally, it's like my little link tree thing. I've refused to pay for link tree, so I made my own. I'm a web designer. I built my own. But social.sethgoldstein.me gets you all my links there, and I'm constantly adding to it. So it's a long scroll. I'm warning you ahead of time. So, but it's fun. Social.sethgoldstein.me, buddy.
Awesome, awesome. Check out Seth Goldstein and connect with him. Doing great things in the podcasting space. Be sure to subscribe to his podcast, Entrepreneurs
Please.
Enigma. What's the actual place they can watch or listen your
Well,
podcast?
entrepreneurenigma.com.
All right, all right.
And you'll see that's a website. See?
Yes,
I own
sir.
that website. I own that domain.
There
See?
you go.
See?
There you go. There you go. Thank you, Seth, for being on the Leverage Your
Thank you so much.
Influence podcast, for being an awesome guest and sharing your story and expertise about digital marketing.
Thank you for having me. I
No
appreciate
problem.
you.
Thank you, audience, for listening and watching, and we look forward to joining you on next time for our next conversation on Leverage Your Influence.